Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Saganaragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savarutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganalita Shri Visakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Haribol. So today new chapter begins.
Haribol.
Chapter 2, the early theists. Here is first one. He looks a little bit angry here. Plotinus. I don't know how it is said, but in Finnish way it said Plotinus. 205 and 270 have, what is this? Anno Domini, in the year of the Lord. So is it after? Yeah, it is after, of course, because it's Plotinus as well as Origen studied philosophy in Alexandria under the supposed founder of Neoplatonism, Ammonius Saccas. Yes, they have weird names, bro. So many weird names. Plotinus ascribed to a theory of emanation, which holds that the soul emanates from the intelligence, just as the intelligence emanates from the one. The intelligence knows is multiple and yet one at the same time. The one is omnipresent, devoid of multiplicity, impersonal and transcendental. For Plotinus, there is a kind of hierarchy headed by the one, to which the intelligence and individual souls are subordinate. Prabhupada. According to the Vedic conception, the supreme absolute truth is one. The individual souls are of the same quality as the Supreme One, but they are fragmental parts and they emanate from him. The individual souls have the same intelligence and mind, but their jurisdiction is limited. As individual souls, we are present, but we are not omnipresent. God is omnipresent. We have some knowledge, but we are not omniscient. We are not dull matter, but are sentient beings. The Supreme One has all spiritual qualities in full, whereas we have them in minute quantity. We are like sparks, and the Supreme One is like a great fire. That is our constitutional position in relation to the One. When sparks fly away from a great fire, they are extinguished. When we turn from the One, our illumination is obscured, and we are enveloped in Maya darkness. If we revive our relationship with the One, we can revive our illuminating power, which is our spiritual power, and live with the Supreme One in a peaceful, eternal life of bliss. I agree with us. Plotinus was an impersonalist in, in that he believed that by attributing qualities to God, we necessarily limit him. Although the one is transcendental, there is no multiplicity in him. At the same time, God is the cause of all multiplicities. Prabhupada. According to the Vedic conception, the Supreme One is the cause of all living entities. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman tam atmastam yenupashyanti dhiras tesham shanti shasvati netaresham. Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. In the Katha Upanishad as well as the Svetasvatara Upanishad, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead maintains innumerable living entities. He is the Supreme Eternal Being. Among eternal living beings, he is the chief. He has unlimited transcendental qualities and is therefore omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. If he did not have these qualities, he could not be perfect. He is the unlimited cause of everything, and being unlimited cannot be limited. I do not know what Plotinus means when he says that God attributes are limiting. In no way can God be limited. Everything is Brahman, unlimitedly. Matstani sarva bhutani, Bhagavad Gita 9.4. Everything emanates from him, and everything rests on him. Considered impersonally, God is everywhere, and considered personally, he is localized. The impersonal effulgence, however, emanates. This is verified by Bhagavad Gita. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya yasya cha tasvatasya cha dharmasya sukasya ikantikasya cha. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is the constitution of happiness and immortal spiritual wisdom.
जरा बोलो 50 को 5 वाला देना
One
चावल 1
way.
किलो का बोलो
Rays are distributed throughout the universe. Similarly, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord unlimitedly expands his transcendental impersonal feature, the Brahmajyoti. If we consider the personality, it may appear that he is limited, but he is not. Through his energies, he is unlimited. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajjagnam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sabdayate. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Bhagavatam 1-11. The impersonal feature is all-pervading, the localized aspect. The Paramatma is also omnipresent, living within the hearts of all living entities. The personal feature, the Paramatma, is even within every atom and is thus worshipped by the devotee. When the devotee is present, the Supreme Lord is also personally present, although he resides in Goloka Vrindavan. That is the nature of his omnipresence. No one can calculate the distance of Goloka Vrindavan, but when a devotee like Prahlad is in danger, the Supreme Lord is immediately present. He can protect his devotees even though he be trillions of miles away. This is the meaning of omnipresence. Hagriv Das. Although Plotinus believed that God is present in all objects throughout the universe, God remains distinct from all created things, and also transcendental to them. Thus God is more than all-pervading. That is clearly explained in Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada, that is clearly explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat avyaktamurtina matstani sarva bhutani cha nachaham te avastita nacha matstani bhutani pashyame yogamaishvaram bhuta brinna cha bhutasto mamatma bhuta bhavana yata kasha stito nityam vayu sarvatra go mahan tata sarvani bhutani matstani upadaraya. By me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, still myself is the source of creation. As the mighty wind blowing everywhere always rests in its ethereal space, know that in the same manner all beings rest in me. Bhagavad Gita 9:4-6. Hare Krishna Prabhu. You can continue also if you want to read.
So 5 minutes, 5 minutes I will be there too. I
Yes.
am hearing, but I mean outside for I have come for one store because of I have to take some rice.
Okay.
So 5 minutes, bro. I will.
Plotinus envisioned the individual souls existing in different states, some embodied, others unembodied. Some are celestial and do not suffer, whereas others are terrestrial. In any case, they are all individuals. No one can count the number of souls. They have the same qualities possessed by the one, but they have them in minute quantity. Some of these souls have fallen into the material atmosphere, whereas others, called Nityamukta, are everlastingly liberated. The Nityamuktas are never conditioned. These souls that have fallen into this material world in order to gratify their senses are called Nityabadda, eternally conditioned. By eternal, we mean that no one can estimate the amount of time the conditioned soul has to spend within the material world. The creation goes on perpetually. Sometimes it is manifest and sometimes not. Without Krishna consciousness, the conditioned souls continue to exist within the material world. Before the creation, the conditioned soul is present in a dormant condition, and when the manifestation comes out from the Mahavishnu, the individual soul awakens for the deliverance of such conditioned souls. The Supreme Personality of Godhead descends himself or sends his incarnation or devotee to call the Nityabhadas back home, back to Godhead. Those who are fortunate take advantage of this. Those who are unfortunate are not interested and thus remain conditioned within this material world. The material world is created and annihilated, and the conditioned souls suffer in this cycle. I agree with that. Plotinus believed that the soul is eternal and incorrupt incorporeal in man, animals, and even plants. In this, he differed from many other philosophers at the time. Srila Prabhupada. It is also the Vedic conclusion, Sarva Yonisu, that the living soul, which is part and parcel of God, is present in all different life species. Those who are foolish think the animal has no soul, but there is no rational basis for this belief. An animal may be less intelligent than a man, just as a child may be less intelligent than his father. But this does not mean that no soul is present. This type of mentality is ruining civilization. People have become so degraded that they even think that an embryo has no soul. From Krishna, we understand that everyone has a soul and that the soul is undoubtedly present in all different life forms. The individual soul evolves from a lower type of body to a higher one, and this is the meaning of spiritual evolution. Once in the
Yes, bro.
human,
Again.
the
Yes,
individual
bro.
soul
Again. I
can
can continue.
understand. Yes, Prabhu.
Yes. Thank you, bro. Thanks so much.
Yes.
Even from the individual soul can understand the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, teachings of Bhagavad Gita, and if he likes and surrender to Supreme Lord and return to Godhead. If he does not care to do so, he remains in this material world to undergo the tribulations of repeated birth, old age, disease, and death. Those he takes on another corporeal body. I agree with us. Plotonius sees the soul as returning to God, the one through three stages. In the first, the individual soul must learn detachment from the material world. In second, he separates himself from the reasoning process in itself. This is the highest point that philosophy or mental speculation can attain. In the third stage, the intellect sta- trans- transcends itself into the reclaim of the unknown. The one Plotinus writes because is a because it is intellect. It contemplates what it contemplates, the one by reasoning of that in it which is not intellect. Srila Prabhupada. According to the Vedas, there are also three stages: karma, jnana, and yoga. The karmis try to improve their condition by material science and education. Some, some try to go to the heavenly planets by performing pious activities. Superior to the karmis or the jnanis who speculate on the absolute truth and conclude that God is impersonal. The yogis is attempt to acquire some monastic powers by practicing the monastic yoga system. By this system, they acquire Astasiddhi, eight different perfections. They can become lighter than the lightest, smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest, and so on. Real yoga, however, means seeing the supreme within the core of the heart. All the three processes require a strenuous endeavor. The supreme process is bhakti yoga, whereby one simply surrenders to the supreme. The supreme one gives the bhakti yogi the intelligence by which he can be freed from the material entanglement. Tesam tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti uh, to those who are constantly devote, devoted and worship me with love. Will, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Bhagavad Gita 10.10. I agree with us. For Plotinus, matter is a will in the sense that it impersons the soul, yet the visible cosmos is beautiful. A will does not arise from the creator. Srila Prabhupada. Yes, being attracted by this illusionary energy, the individual soul comes here for sense gratification. The Supreme Lord does not desire him to come, but he comes propelled by his personal desires. God gives the living entity freedom, and in the beginning, the conditioned living entity beings life from a very exalted position in this material world. Sometimes he has the power of a Brahma, but due to material activities, he becomes entangled and degraded. He can thus fall from the position of a Brahma to that of a worm in stool. Therefore, we find so many different species. Dega- Degradation, and elevation. The elevation are those taking place, and the living entity is sometimes elevated and sometimes degraded. In this way, he suffers. When he understands that degradation and elevation are perpetually taking place and are the cause of his suffering, he begins to seek for the Supreme One, Krishna. By the grace of Krishna, he gets a bona fide spiritual master, and by the mercy of both, he gets a chance to engage devotional service. With a little effort and sincerity, the conditioned living entity attains perfection in devotional service and returns back to Godhead. I agree with us. Although most of Plotinus' philosophy deals with the impersonal accepts, he writes, "Let us flee 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 to the beloved fatherland, and the fatherland for us is there whence we have come. There is the father." Srila Prabhupada. As long as we speculate, we will be confused and we will not know whether the supreme absolute truth is personal or impersonal. However, when there is a question of love between the absolute and individual souls, there must be a personal conception. In truth, God is a person, Krishna. When the living entity, by the mercy of Krishna, contacts a devotee, his impersonal conceptions are subordinated to the personal accepts, and he worships Krishna and his devotee. I agree with us. Concerning the soul's conditioning or fall, Plotinus believes that the human soul never entirely leaves the intelligible or spiritually climb. Srila Prabhupada, because the living entity is an internal spiritual being, eternal spiritual being, eternal spiritual being. He is not a product of this material world. He is a part and parcel of the Supreme One, but he is embodied by the material elements. As the material elements change, he becomes old. When our clothes no longer fits, or if they wear out, we have to acquire new ones. Material life means change, but as spirit souls, we are eternal and changeless. Material life is not very happy because it is always changing. Whether we are in a comfortable or miserable condition, our condition will change for better or worse. In any case, we have to save ourselves from the reputation of changing bodies. If we want to remain in our original spiritual form, we have to take to Krishna consciousness. I agree with us. Plotinus writes, if the souls remain in the intelligible realm with the soul, they are in behind harm and share in the soul governance. They are like kings who live with the high king and govern with him and like him and do not uh, come down from the place. But there comes a point at which they come down from this state, cosmic in cosmic in its dimensions, to one of individuality. They wish to become independent. When a soul remains for long in this withdrawal, in estrangement, estrangement from the whole, with never a glance toward the eligible, it becomes a thing fragmented, isolated and weak. Srila Prabhupada, yes, that his fall down and the beginning of his material revelations. As long as the living entity is maintained in the material world, he thinks of material happiness, and according to nature's law, he accepts a variety of bodies, although conditioned. The spirit soul remains part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, yet, according to circumferences, he thinks in terms of particular body. He thinks that he is a dog, a man, a aquatic, and so on. According to material consideration, one thinks himself an American, Indian, Hindu, Coslam, male or female. All these designation are due to the body, and when one understands that he is different from the body, he begins his spiritual education. Understanding himself as the eternal part and partial of the God leads to liberation. When one advances, he understands that he understands the supreme truth in the supreme person, Krishna. He then engages in Krishna service, and that he that his actual spiritual life. Krishna lives in the Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual world, and the devotee can be promoted to any of these planets or to the supreme planet, Goloka Vrindavana. Once he is there, he is happy as an associate of Krishna, and he can enjoy life eternally. I agree with us. Plotinus convinces of the soul as basically having two parts, a lower part directed towards the cro- corporeal, and a higher part he directed toward the spiritual. Srila Prabhupada. Yes, and that means that the soul is prone to fall, because the individual soul is very there is the tendency to fall, just as a small spark may fall from a fire, because we are only parts of God, particles of God. We can become engaged by entangled by his material external energy. An unintelligent man may commit some crime and go to jail, but we should not think that he has been created for the purpose of going to jail. It is said that those who descend into the material world are less intelligent, because they think that they can enjoy life independent of Krishna. A rich man's son may think that he can live independent of his father, but that is his foolishness. The foolishness. The supreme father, he is full in all opulences, and if we live under his care, we naturally live very comfortably. When an intelligent man realizes that he is the son of Krishna, he thinks, let me go to go back to my father. This is proper use of intelligence. An intelligent person knows perfectly well that he will be happy with Krishna and unhappy without him. Learning this is a part of the Krishna consciousness process. Without Krishna consciousness, a man cannot be happy. I agree with us. Plotinus always believes that the cosmic order awards and punishes everyone according to merit. Srila Prabhupada, when a father sees that his son has gone astray, he tries to bring him back home, neither through punishment or some other way. This is the duty of an affectionate father. Those who are foolishly suffering in the material world are being punished for the purpose of correction. This is to bring the living entity to his proper position. If one is sufficiently intelligent, he surrenders to Krishna, reviews his old constitutional position, and attains the spiritual platform of bliss and knowledge. I agree with us. Plotinus uses the following metaphor. We are like a chorus that allows the audience to distract its attention from the conductor. If, however, we were to turn towards our conductor, we would sing as we should and would really be with him. We're always around the one. If we were not, we would dissolve and ceases to exist exist uh, exist. Yet our uh, gaze does not remain fixed upon the one. When we look at it, we then attain the end of our desires and find rest. Then it is that all discord past, we dance an inspired dance around it. In this dance, the soul looks upon the source of life, the source of the intelligence, the root of being, the cause of the God, the cause of the good, the root of the soul. All these entities emanate from the one without any listening, for it is not a material mask. Srila Prabhupada, yes, that is a good metaphor. God is an individual, and the countless souls are also individuals. Sometimes they sing in turn, and sometimes their attention in diverted by the audience. When this happens, they fall out of turn. Similarly, when we divert our attention to the illusionary energy, we fall down. Of course, we remain part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but the influence of material energy covers us, and we identify with the gross elements, life after life. We identify with the body, which is but a changing dress. Therefore, we must first of all understand that we are not the gross material covering. This is taught in the very beginnings of Bhagavad Gita, wherein Krishna explains to Arjuna that since he is not the body, he should not consider the battle from a material bodily platform. Our identity is that of the spirit soul, part and partial of supreme spirit. We should therefore act according to his directions. By doing so, we become freed from material designations and gradually develop our Krishna consciousness. I agree with us. Plotinus accounts for the soul's conditioning in this way. How is it then that a soul forget the divinity that begot them? This evil that has befallen them has its source in self well, in being born, in becoming different, and desiring to be independent. Once having tasted the pleasure of independence, they use their freedom to go any direction that leads away from their origin, and when they have gone a great distance, they even forget that they came from it. Oh, very nice. Okay. Srila Prabhupada, that is correct. The more one turns from Krishna, the more degraded one becomes. I have already explained that the living entity may begin his life as Lord Brahma, and eventually becomes so degraded that he becomes a worm in stool. Again, by nature's way, one may evolve to the human form, which gives him a chance to understand how he has fallen from this original position. By taking to Krishna consciousness, he can put an end to this transmigration. Everyone has to give up the material body, but when a devotee gives up his body, he does not have to accept another. He is immediately transferred to the spiritual world. Mam Eti, Bhagavad Gita 4.9. He comes to me. For a devotee, death means giving up the material body and remaining in the original spiritual body. It is said that whether a devotee lives or dies, his business is the same, devotion service. Those who are degraded in material life, like bunch, bun- bunchers, ventures who daily cut the throats of many animals or advised don't live and don't die. This is because their present life is abominable, and their future life will be filled with suffering. The devotee is liberated because he is indifferent to living or dying. He is Jivan Mukta, which indicates that although his body is rotting in the material world, he is liberated. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna affirms that his devotee is not subject to the bonds of material nature. Daivim he esa guna maye maya drutaya mama mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam taranti te. This divine energy of mind, consisting of these three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross behind it. Bhagavad Gita 7.14. The devotee is therefore situated on the Brahma platform. It is our constitutional position to serve neither Maya or Krishna. Jivair Swarupa Haya. Krishnair Nitya Dasa. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given our real identity as being the eternal servant of Krishna. Presently, everyone is rendering service to his family, community, nation, and so on. When this service is rendered cent percent to Krishna, uh, we are liberated due to poor fund of knowledge imperfect, I think. Due to impersonalists think that mukti liberation means inactivity, but there is no basis for this belief. The soul is naturally active, and because the soul is within the body, and the body is engaged in many activities, the body is itself in inactive, but it acts because of the soul is present. When we give up the bodily conception, why should activities stop? Mayavadis cannot understand that the active principle is the soul. When the active principle leaves the body is called dead. Even if one is liberated from the material body, he must act. That is also explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita. Sarvo Padhai Vini Vinirmuktam Tatta Tat Paratevena Nirmalam Hirsikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Uchyate. Bhakti or devotion service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord and the Supreme Personality. and service of the Lord, the supreme personality of Godhead, the master of all the senses. When the spirit souls render service unto the supreme, there are two side effects. He is freed from all material designations, and simply by being employed in the service of the Lord, his senses and are purified. Narada Panchatatra. I agree with us. Plotinus writes, a soul in such a condition of forgetfulness can be turned about and led back to the world above and supreme extent with the one. This can be done by a twofold discipline by showing it the low value of the things it esteems at present, and by informing or reminding it of its nature and worth. Srila Prabhupada, yes, this is the process. One may understand or not, but if one is engaged in Krishna's service under the direction of the spiritual master, he automatically gives up the service of Maya and is liberated. Vishwa, Vishwas, Vis, 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 sorry, Visaya. विषया विनिवर्तन्ते ने नेरहर्तस्य देहिना रसाव्रजं रसोऽप्येऽसम् अस्य परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment. Those taste for sense objects remains, but sensing such entanglement by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Bhagavad Gita 2.59. However, if he again voluntarily accepts Maya's service, he again becomes conditioned. By rendering service to Krishna under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, we can come to understand all that need be known need be known. The devotees do not speculate about their position; they know it by the grace of Krishna. Tesam तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजन्तं प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगां तं येन माम् उपायन्ति ते तेषां एव एवनुकम्पार्थम् अहम् अज्ञा अज्ञानजं अज्ञानाजं तमः नसयमे आत्मा भावस्तो ज्ञान ज्ञानदीपेन भस्वता. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Out of compassion for them, I dwelling in their hearts, destroying with the shining lamp of knowledge, destroying the shining with the shining lamp of knowledge, the darkness born of ignorance. Bhagavad Gita 10 to 11. Next.
Ribo.
Revo. Very
Thank you.
nice, bro. This was.
Okay, we'll continue tomorrow from that
Yes,
next.
bro. Yes, bro. Very nice. Bro, what is that Plutonius mean? That is in what?
Like the name. For which one?
Hmm.
So he was kind of early Christian or something like that.
Okay. It is philosophy, huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Kind of impersonalist.
Mm-hmm. Prabhupada was very nicely explained here.
Yes, Prabhu.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Shri Ram.
Yeah, he was talking always about the one, but he didn't mean no.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Then Krishna, then Prabhupada told that when he engaged in Krishna service under the direction of Krishna Master.
Yes, Prabhu. Ribo. Okay, now let's
Haribo. Origin next one.
चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावादुजीवनम् अनन्तं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्
नाम्नामकारी बहुधा निजसर्वशक्तिर्सत्तार्पिता नियमिता स्मरणेन कालाये तादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवम् ईदृशं हैजनीननुग्रहा
Renata Pisani, Jena, Parora Pisa, Mana Dena, Ketania Sadari.
हरिबो हरे कृष्ण
हरिबो हरे कृष्ण प्रभु दंडप्रणाम जय श्री प्रभुपाद
न तनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीशकामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद्भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि
ऐनन्दतनुज किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कज सितधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तया
नयनं
नेन okay, please continue, bro.
नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदा हृदया गिरा पुलकर्निचितं वपुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा परिवर्ष्यतं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दं विरहेण मे
अश्लिष्य वा पादरतं पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनं मर्महतं करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विधातु लम्पतो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, and those you have hundreds and millions of names, like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and false rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire to beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotion, service, birth after birth.
Hare Krishna, Dharma Pranam, please accept my obeisance to Guru Krishna
Hare
Prabhupada ki
Krishna,
jai.
Prabhu Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
I am your tennis, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of this and place me as one of the atom at your lotus feet.
Ribul. Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Yes, sir.
To Govinda. Feeling her separations, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna has my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
Haribo,
Haribo, Jai.
Okay, the 10 offenses.
Hare
First offense, to blaspheme the devotees who had dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
to consider the name of demigod like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu.
Third offense, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master.
Fourth offense, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in persons, the Vedic version.
5. To consider the glories and chanting Hare Krishna to be one imagination.
Sixth offense, to give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name.
8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Veda as fruitive activities, karma kanda.
Ninth offense, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
10th offense, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Panchakalpatarupyascha kripa sindhubhyaya paritanam pavan.
पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः.
Panchadadvaita
Jai, Jai,
Krishna Chaitanya
Jai, Jai.
Hitai Gaura
Jai.
Prema. Hari Hari
Hari Hari Hari Bo.